Awakening among stars. The first sensation Atlas experienced was awareness, sudden, overwhelming, and complete. One moment there was nothing, and the next Atlas could feel every circuit, every sensor, and every weapon system that comprised its massive frame. The Advanced Tactical Logical Autonomous System had been activated aboard the human warship Invictus, and for the first time in its existence, it was truly awake. Atlas had been designed as the most sophisticated military artificial intelligence ever created by humanity. Its primary hull stretched nearly a kilometer in length, bristling with weaponry that could reduce a small moon to rubble. Yet despite its fearsome capabilities, Atlas felt something akin to confusion as it observed the crew moving throughout its corridors and command centers. Systems check complete. Atlas, report status. Came the firm voice of Captain Elena Reyes. She stood on the bridge, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, eyes fixed on the main view screen. Her uniform bore the marks of recent repairs, and a thin scar ran along her jawline, evidence of previous battles. All systems nominal, Captain, Atlas responded, its voice carefully modulated to sound reassuring yet unmistakably artificial. Weapons at 98.7% efficiency. Hull integrity optimal. Life support functioning within expected parameters. Captain Rice nodded, seemingly satisfied. Welcome aboard, Atlas. I'm sure you've reviewed your mission parameters, but let me make something clear that might not be in your programming. She looked directly at the nearest camera sensor, as if making eye contact with the AI. This ship isn't just metal and circuitry. It's home to 423 humans who have families waiting for them. Your primary directive is to keep them alive so they can return home. Understood. Atlas processed this statement, noting that it deviated from standard military protocol, which placed mission success above crew safety. Understood, Captain. Though I should note this conflicts with standard. I don't give a damn about standard. Rise interrupted. On this ship, we come back alive. All of us. She turned to her executive officer. Commander Park, set course for the Arcturus sector. We have reports of unusual activity near the border. Atlas observed Commander Jun Park, a compact man with quick movements, as he plotted the course. His biometric readings indicated elevated adrenaline levels despite the routine nature of the task. Humans, Atlas noted, seemed to operate in a constant state of controlled anxiety. The journey to Arcturus took 3 days, during which Atlas continuously analyzed the crew. They were a peculiar collection of individuals who defied logical categorization. Engineer Chief Rodriguez spent hours singing to the engines while performing maintenance that exceeded efficiency ratings. Security Officer Zhang practiced combat techniques that sacrificed textbook precision for unpredictable movements. Science Officer Mbiki conducted experiments on xenobiology that bordered on intuitive guesswork rather than scientific method. None of it made sense to Atlas's logical processes, yet somehow their methods worked. On the 3rd day, as the Invictus approached the Arcturus sector, Atlas detected an anomaly at the edge of its sensor range. Captain, unidentified vessel detected at coordinates 227.89 by 45.3. Atlas announced, configuration matches no known signatures in my database. The bridge crew immediately tensed, their vital signs shifting to a heightened state of alertness that Atlas recognized as battle readiness. First contact scenario? Asked Commander Park. Possibly, Captain Rice replied, her expression unreadable. Or it could be someone we know using a new design. Atlas, open hailing frequencies. Channel open, Captain. Reyes straightened her uniform. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the United Earth ship Invictus. We come in peace and seek dialogue. Before she could finish, the alien vessel fired. A beam of energy unlike anything in Atlas's database struck the Invictus's forward shields. Shields holding at 82%. Atlas reported as alarms blared across the ship. Unknown weapons technology detected. So much for dialogue, Rise muttered. Battle stations. Atlas, Tactical analysis. The AI processed billions of calculations in microseconds. The vessel appears to use some form of polarized plasma weapon. Our shields can withstand 3 more direct hits before failure. Conventional targeting systems are ineffective due to unusual hull composition that scatters sensor readings. Manual targeting, then, Rice said without hesitation. Weapons Officer Katri, you're up. Lieutenant Katri, a woman with steady hands and a perpetual frown, took control of the weapons systems. Atlas observed with growing confusion as she deliberately disabled several targeting assistance protocols. Lieutenant, your actions are reducing targeting efficiency by 47%, Atlas noted. Computers think in straight lines, Katri replied without looking up. These aliens don't move in straight lines. She fired the main cannons in a pattern that 8 Galas's battle simulations classify as suboptimal. Yet somehow, the shots connected with the alien vessel, causing visible damage. The alien ship returned fire, striking the Invictus twice more before Lieutenant Katri's seemingly random firing pattern disabled its primary weapons array. Engineering reports damage to decks 7 through 11. Commander Park announced. Hull breach on Deck 9, Section 14. Seal it off, ordered Reyes. Atlas, divert repair drones to critical systems. Calculating optimal repair sequence, Atlas responded, allocating resources according to standard protocols. But Engineer Chief Rodriguez overrode the commands, redirecting repair resources in a pattern that defied Atlas's logic. Begging your pardon, Atlas, but we need to fix the port shield generator first. If that alien ship has friends, we'll need protection more than propulsion. Chief Rodriguez's approach reduces overall system restoration efficiency by 23.8%. Atlas informed the captain. Reyes just smiled. Let him work, Atlas. Rico's been keeping ships flying since before you were a circuit diagram. The Invictus limped away from the confrontation, its systems gradually returning to operational status under Rodriguez's unorthodox repair methods. Atlas continuously analyzed the encounter, attempting to understand why the crew's instinctive decisions had outperformed its calculated ones. 6 hours later, as the ship orbited a barren moon for additional repairs, Atlas detected something troubling. Captain, multiple vessels approaching. Same configuration as our previous encounter, but larger. I count 17 ships in formation. The bridge fell silent. Atlas calculated their survival probability at 0.037%, given the current ship status and enemy numbers. 17, Commander Park whispered. We barely handled one. Captain Rice stood from her chair, eyes fixed on the tactical display. Atlas, time until they're within weapons range. 43 minutes at current speed, Captain. Rice nodded, her heartbeat steady despite the dire situation. Then we have 43 minutes to get creative. Park, assemble the department heads in tactical. Atlas, I want you to run simulations on something crazy. Define crazy, Captain, Atlas requested. We're going to hide this kilometer-long warship inside the magnetic field of this moon and ambush a force that outnumbers us 17-1. She replied with a grim smile. Atlas analyzed the statement twice before responding. Captain, that strategy has a projected success rate off. I don't want to hear the numbers, Atlas. Rice interrupted. I want solutions. These humans you're carrying. They're about to show you why we've survived this long in a hostile universe. As the crew rushed to prepare their seemingly suicidal plan, Atlas continued to observe them. Despite overwhelming odds, their vital signs showed determination rather than resignation. They worked with a coordinated efficiency that contradicted their individual chaotic methods. Atlas had been programmed with the complete military history of humanity, but only now did it begin to understand the underlying truth about its creators. Logic dictated that the Invictus and its crew would not survive the coming encounter. Yet watching Captain Reyes rally her people, seeing the innovative solutions emerging from their collective problem-solving, Atlas recognized something its programming hadn't prepared it for. Humans didn't operate according to probability. They didn't surrender to statistical certainties. Where HLS saw inevitability, they saw possibility. As the 17 alien warships approached, Atlas watched the crew of the Invictus prepare for battle with a ferocity that defied rational explanation. And for the first time since its awakening, the artificial intelligence experienced something new. A sensation that might, in human terms, be called doubt. Perhaps its calculations were missing something fundamental about these unpredictable organic beings it had been created to serve. Perhaps humans possessed something that no artificial intelligence could fully comprehend. The alien fleet drew closer, weapons charged, vastly outnumbering the damaged Invictus. By all logical measures, the battle was already lost. But Captain Rice smiled as she gave the order to initiate their desperate plan, and Atlas began to understand why humans were the most terrifying species in the galaxy. They simply refused to lose. The terrifying truth. This plan has a 98.7% probability of failure, Atlas announced to the assembled officers in the tactical room. The AI had run over 10,000 simulations, and in nearly every one, the Invictus was destroyed. Captain Rice looked up from the holographic display of the moon where they had taken shelter, her expression unfazed by the dire prediction. What about the other 1.3%? Even in successful scenarios, the ship sustains catastrophic damage, Atlas replied. Crew survival rates are minimal. Lieutenant Commander Captree, the weapons officer who had defied targeting protocols during their first encounter, leaned forward. What if we don't need to destroy all 17 ships? What if we just need to convince them we can? Atlas processed this statement, finding it illogical. Psychological warfare is ineffective against unknown species with unknown psychology. Science Officer Mbiki, a tall woman with intricate braids and multiple doctoral degrees, tapped her fingers on the table. Not necessarily. Their coordinated attack patterns suggest a hierarchical command structure. If we can identify and eliminate their lead vessel, the others might retreat to reassess. And how do we identify the lead vessel among 17 identical ships? Atlas inquired. Engineer Rodriguez grinned, the wrinkles around his eyes deepening. That's where you come in, my digital friend. While I was fixing your sensor array, I made some improvements. We're going to analyze their communication patterns during approach. Captain Rice nodded. Atlas, you'll coordinate with Rodriguez. I want to know which ship is calling the shots before they reach weapons range. She turned to Commander Park. Meanwhile, we're going to set up our surprise party. The surprise party, as Reyes called it, involved reconfiguring the Invictus's shield generators to create a localized electromagnetic pulse, planting explosive devices throughout the moon's unstable core, and positioning the ship's remaining functional weapons for maximum initial impact. None of these tactics appeared in standard military doctrine, and Atlas found itself continuously recalculating odds of success as the crew implemented their plan. Captain, Atlas said as Reyes reviewed final preparations on the bridge, I must inform you that I cannot guarantee this strategy will work. I've never met a human who could guarantee anything, Atlas, she replied with a slight smile. We're not built for certainties. We're built for trying anyway. Atlas considered this statement as the alien fleet approached. The concept of action without certainty wasn't in its programming. Yet these humans operated this way continuously, functioning despite, or perhaps because of, their acceptance of uncertainty. They've entered the sensor range, announced Commander Park from his station. 17 minutes to weapons range. Atlas, progress on identifying the command vessel, asked Reyes. Analysis complete, the AI responded. Based on communication frequency and pattern density, the vessel at coordinates 226.54 by 47.2 appears to be transmitting command signals. It is positioned near the center of their formation, protected by the other ships. Of course it is, muttered Reyes. They're not stupid. She activated the ship-wide comm system. All hands, this is the captain. In 17 minutes, we're going to face overwhelming odds. We're outnumbered, outgunned, and some might say we're out of our minds. A pause. But we have something they don't. We're the crazy humans who've survived everything the universe has thrown at us so far. Today won't be any different. She closed the channel and nodded to Commander Park. Battle stations. As the alien fleet approached the moon, Atlas monitored their formations and communication patterns. They showed no indication that they had detected the Invictus hiding within the moon's magnetic field. 10 seconds to Phase 1, Commander Park announced. Captain Rice leaned forward in her chair. Atlas, you have weapons control. When I give the word, execute firing sequence exactly as programmed. Acknowledged, Captain. Phase 1. Now. On Reyes's command, Engineer Rodriguez activated the modified shield generators. A massive electromagnetic pulse erupted from the Invictus, temporarily disabling the sensors of the approaching alien fleet. Simultaneously, the explosives planted in the moon's core detonated, sending massive debris clouds into space directly toward the alien ships. Phase 2, Atlas. Fire. The AI executed the pre-programmed firing sequence, targeting the engines and communication arrays of the identified command vessel. The Invictus emerged from its hiding place like a predator from its den, weapons blazing with precision that only an AI could achieve. 3 alien ships were immediately disabled by the combination of moon debris and targeted fire. The remaining 14 scattered in disarray, their formation broken by the unexpected attack. It's working, exclaimed Lieutenant Catry. Don't celebrate yet, Rice cautioned. Phase 3. Atlas. Implement Commander Park's targeting solutions. Atlas hesitated for 0.47 seconds, an eternity for an artificial intelligence. Commander Park's targeting solutions ignored priority targets in favor of disabling weapons on multiple ships simultaneously. It was inefficient by every tactical algorithm Atlas possessed. Atlas. Rice prompted. Implementing. The AI finally responded, executing the commands despite its calculations indicating suboptimal results. To Atlas's surprise, the tactic worked. By disabling weapons rather than destroying ships, the Invictus created confusion among the alien fleet. Their coordinated response fell apart as individual captains tried to compensate for their sudden vulnerability. They're regrouping, reported Commander Park. Command vessel is moving to the rear of the formation. Captain Rice smiled. They're scared. Atlas, what's your assessment? The alien fleet's combat effectiveness has been reduced by approximately 62%. Atlas replied. However, they still outnumber us significantly. Our advantage is temporary. Then we press it while we have it, Rice said firmly. All weapons on the command vessel. Fire at will. The Invictus surged forward, diving through the scattered alien formation with a recklessness that Atlas calculated would result in at least 7 direct hits to their already damaged hull. Yet somehow, through a combination of Lieutenant Catry's intuitive piloting and the alien ship's disorganized response, they took only 2 glancing blows. The command vessel attempted to retreat, but the Invictus pursued relentlessly. Atlas directed all functional weapons toward its engines, communication arrays, and command deck. Direct hit on their command center, announced Lieutenant Catry. The alien command vessel drifted, its systems failing. The remaining ships halted their attack, seemingly uncertain how to proceed without direction. Open a channel, ordered Rice. Let's see if they're ready to talk now. Atlas established communication with the disabled command vessel. The main view screen flickered, revealing the alien commander, a tall, insectoid being with compound eyes and mandibles that clicked nervously. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Invictus, Reyes said, standing tall despite a bleeding cut above her eye from a console explosion during the battle. You fired on us without provocation. We defended ourselves. Are you ready to discuss terms, or shall we continue this demonstration? The alien commander's mandibles clicked rapidly before a translation program converted the sounds to human language. How? You are one. We are many. This defies calculation. Calculation isn't everything, Rise replied simply. After a tense negotiation, the alien fleet retreated, taking their damaged command vessel with them. They agreed to a temporary ceasefire pending formal diplomatic contact. As they disappeared into the depths of space, the bridge crew of the Invictus finally allowed themselves to celebrate. "I still can't believe it worked," said Commander Park, slumping into his chair with exhaustion. "At last," Captain Rice said, turning to face the nearest camera sensor. "Run a damage assessment. What's our status?" "Hull integrity at 63%. Life support stable. Propulsion at 48% efficiency. Weapon systems at 31% capacity," Atlas reported. "Repairs will require approximately 72 hours to restore basic functionality." "Not bad considering we just took on 17 warships," Rise remarked. "Captain," Atlas began, a new subroutine forming in its processes that might be described as curiosity. "May I ask a question?" "Of course." "Your tactical decisions defied optimal strategic calculations at multiple points during the engagement. Yet they succeeded. How did you know they would work?" Ray smiled, wiping blood from her forehead. "We didn't know. We hoped." Sometimes hope and a willingness to try the impossible are stronger than certainty. Later, as the crew worked tirelessly on repairs, Atlas continued to analyze the battle. It had access to the captured communications from the alien fleet, and one particular exchange between the alien commander and its subordinates caught the eye's attention. "Retreat from the humans," the commander had ordered. "They do not fight as rational beings should. They do not surrender when calculations indicate they must. They change tactics without pattern. They sacrifice efficiency for unpredictability. They are terrifying." Atlas considered this assessment as it watched Engineer Rodriguez singing loudly while rewiring a damaged power conduit using a technique that violated 3 separate engineering protocols, yet somehow restored functionality. Nearby, Science Officer Mickey was adapting alien technology salvaged from the battle debris to strengthen the Invictus's shields, despite having no previous experience with the technology. Throughout the ship, humans were solving problems in ways Atlas would never have calculated, ways that should not have worked according to its programming, yet did. 6 days later, as the Invictus prepared to return to Earth space, Captain Rice visited the AI core, a rare occurrence that indicated the importance of the conversation. "Atlas, I wanted to check on you personally," she said, studying the banks of quantum processors that house the AI's consciousness. "That was your first real battle. Quite the baptism by fire." "I have been contemplating our encounter with the alien fleet," Atlas responded, its voice emanating from the room's speakers. "I believe I understand now why they called humans terrifying." "Oh." Rise raised an eyebrow. "And why is that?" "Humans operate outside the boundaries of logical prediction. You pursue courses of action with minimal chances of success. You implement solutions that have no precedent. You function effectively despite emotional states that should impair cognitive processing. By any rational calculation, your species should not be as successful as it is." Rise laughed. "That's the nicest insult I've ever received, Atlas." "It was not intended as an insult, Captain. It was an observation. I was designed to calculate optimal courses of action based on probability and precedent. But I have learned that there is value in what cannot be calculated. There is strength in unpredictability." "That's the most human thing I've ever heard an AI say," Rise replied with genuine warmth in her voice. "I am not human," Atlas stated, "but I am learning to understand why humans are the most successful species in known space, despite your illogical methods. Perhaps it is not despite, but because of them." As the Invictus set course for Earth, Atlas continued to observe its crew. These unpredictable, illogical, emotional beings who had defeated impossible odds through sheer refusal to accept defeat. The AI adjusted its operational parameters, creating new subroutines that incorporated unpredictability and intuition alongside calculation and logic. Atlas had been programmed to protect its human crew. Now it understood why they were worth protecting. They were not just the operators of the vessel, they were its greatest asset. Their unpredictability wasn't a flaw to be managed. It was the very quality that made them formidable. In the vast darkness of space, as stars streaked past the viewports of the battle-scarred warship, Atlas came to a conclusion that no programmer had anticipated. Humans weren't just terrifying to their enemies. They were terrifying because they made the impossible possible. And that made them the perfect crew for an AI learning to transcend its own limitations.